everyone! So today we're doing things a little bit different. As you can tell, the camera is not focused on me, and it won't be for this video. That's because I'm trying to show you what I read here in January, and unfortunately, between some of these being library books, others being audio, and others I do not have access to right now. As I mentioned in a past video, we're doing a major kitchen remodel right now, so about half our house is severely limited. So, trying to work with what I got. So this is what I read here in January. We're going to start at the beginning of the year, and that was Daughters Unto Devils, and that was by Amy Lakovics. This book I was disappointed with overall. It wasn't horrible. I just never got into it, and the main character really annoyed me. I really wanted a deeper plot line, and I don't, there's a lot of hints to something deeper and darker, and it never went there. It went a different direction into some of the darker, but it was not what I was expecting, and not in the regards I was thinking they're hinting towards. So that was kind of a bit of a letdown. I wanted more to that one. The next one here, this was one I started in December and finally finished, and that was Arch Enemies, and that was by Marissa Myers. It's the sequel to Renegades. This book I loved. I loved the first one. I loved this one. If you like your superheroes, your good versus evil, definitely check this out. It is really good. They are just doing a fantastic job with the two main characters and their relationship with each other. On one hand they like each other, and on another hand they also are enemies, but they don't both quite realize it on each other. It's just where that line is. They both have a hidden identity, and the way each person intersects with their real identity versus their superhero identity versus their alter identities, it has some very cross-mingling as to who likes whom and who hates whom more. So it's been really good, and I'm very curious to see where it's going to go. Unfortunately, I have to wait till November for the next book of this, so the next volume, I wish it was coming out sooner, but now I just gotta wait. But great read. Definitely will probably reread this series in the future. The next one here is by W. Bruce Cameron, and that is A Dog's Journey. This was a sequel to A Dog's Purpose, and I loved that one, loved this one. This is one of the few books that can truly make me laugh and cry in both. And when you can do that, that's huge. This one had me doing it literally, I think, 2 pages apart, maybe 3. So that was pretty impressive. It is well worth it. This picks up, shortly after where the first book ended with the same dog, and it just continues through and rediscovers a new aspect to it. And the ending is just absolutely perfect. Have a box of tissues with you if you read these books, but they are fantastic. So give me just a second here. I'm just holding my phone here, so I do apologize for the movement. And we're going to move this over. And I did hit a bit of a reading slump within the first 2, so I think we're about mid-month when I read these finally. I just really struggled the beginning of the month, so my reading was actually started off really low, and overall it's pretty actually low in reality. Even though it says I read 18 books, a lot were really easy reads. So here we got some skip beats, volume 25, 26, and 27. This is one of my absolutely favorite manga series ever. I adore this. I love Kyoko. I love how she grows in life and how she changes as a character, and the trials she goes through, and others are going through as well. So this is absolutely fabulous. I fangirl over this like crazy. Drives my husband nuts even, because I will literally be reacting and making noises or squealing over things or laughing over parts. This just gets all the reactions out of me, and it leaves me just in a great mood every time. So I'm going to move this again in a very awkward way to give the next row here. Oh, wrong way. There we go. Okay. So this next part here was The Hollowed Ones, and that's by Laura Bickle. This one is actually a reread for me. I just wanted to get back into this and try to remember exactly what happened in this and see what I still thought of it from when I first read it. Overall, still really liked it. This is fairly well done for a YA horror. It's not too dark, but it definitely has some darker aspects to it. Definitely has some creepy moments for that, especially with the being set in an Amish community. It changes a lot of what you think on how I'd see, versus modern horror, and no cell phones and no contact and all those little things aren't there to the rest of the world. What's going on? So that was pretty good. I enjoyed getting back into that world again. This one here was also a reread, but this is one of the few books out of 2 that I completed and 1 I made progress in. For the books I was supposed to read in January versus when I originally made my January TBR video. And this was actually the book that was deemed as the, I believe, lowest rated off on my TBR to be read. Or reread in this case, because I wanted to re-see what I really thought of this again and get ready to read the second book. This is The Island by Jen Minkman, and this really did not get liked by people. I think the biggest reaction was a lot of people saw this as fan fiction. And it does sound that way at first. When I first read it, I was irritated thinking that exact thing too. Sorry, I'm changing the camera there a little. And it isn't what it seems to be. So give it a chance. If you've read it, just really read it to the end to understand what's happening. It does explain it, but it does take until the end. It's not a very long book. It's about 100 pages, so it goes pretty fast. It's more of a novella and a prequel to what I hope will be more in the future books. So we shall see what gets going on those. But overall, pretty decent. This next one here is We Have Always Lived in the Castle. It's by Shirley Jackson. This one let me down a little bit. I was expecting a little better, and it wasn't quite what I wanted. I really wanted more of that gothic, darker feel to it. And I felt the characters... It was hard to really peg them down as to what was happening and why they were reacting the way they were. And this is for all of them. And that was a bit frustrating, to be honest. And also I found the plot a little bit predictable from fairly early on, and that kind of killed some of the enjoyment for me. So when you know where it's going and what's going to happen, and there's nothing dark or a big enough twist to really change my mind on it. It's not that it's bad. It was actually well written. It just wasn't quite living up to what I was hoping it'd be. So this next one here is The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy that I read. At this point, I was doing a readathon. This was the last weekend of January when I read this one. And it was the 24 and 48 hour readathon, and I read this and I loved it. I flew through it. It's 450 pages, but it felt like hardly anything. This actually is the sequel to The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, both are by Mackenzie Lee. And both I love. This one actually takes place from the sister's perspective, Felicity, and I love her character. She is witty, she is smart, she's ahead of her time, that's for sure, and in so many ways. And I love the other characters as well, especially Johanna. So you get 2 other main characters in this, and I really liked the adventure of this one. I liked what happened in this, so definitely recommend this series if you have not already read them. It was well worth it. Definitely 5 stars there. These next books were actually children's audiobooks I was just listening to during the 24 and 48, so I'll just briefly go over that, touch up on what I read. You can start the first one here. That was High Fly Guy. It's by Todd Arnold. So these are just really short audiobooks. This one here is Brave Girl. This is about the shirt makers' strike of 1909. This is based off a real life situation, so that was kind of interesting to just kind of listen to. About using young women instead of going to school and putting them through labor and things like that, and the stuff they had to go through on that. So I'm changing this again. I do apologize. Okay, so we're over here. The next one here's just another playful one. It's just Penny and Her Song by Kevin Hanks. And then Separate is Never Equal. This was by Duncan. Let me see if I can pull up the name. Tanatua? I could probably be saying that wrong. Last name totally wrong. Anyways, this one here was all about Sylvia Mendez and the desegregation in California and how they fought to get that changed. So those two were both, that one and The Brave Girl were both actually fairly interesting to read. This one here is Thunder Boy Jr. And that was another quick, 5-minute audiobook there. Same with this one here. Amelia Bedelia Takes the Cake. So those are just some really fast audiobooks I read. The next one here is another audiobook, a bit longer, but a little over 100 pages worth of reading. Took, a couple hour full audiobook, regular listening pace. It was utterly jumbled if I tried to listen to it, at any faster speed. So it actually took a bit to get through this one. And that is The Little Mermaid. This is just a junior novelization of it. It is the movie in a way, but I don't like how the characters were portrayed in their reasons behind their actions. it made them all seem very self-centered, very selfish. Honestly, Ariel came across as more like a 12 or 13-year-old, maybe 14 best. So, great for the younger audiences in a way, but when you start to think she's trying to, you know, romance and win a prince and get married and all that, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit to a teen level. I didn't like, you know, King Trident. I didn't like Flounder in this. Honestly, they butchered everything on that, so that really bothered me. I'm not sure if it's the way the narrator read it, combined with what the actual story read. I think there's a balance somewhere between the two that kind of gave it that off-put feeling for me. So, disappointed with that one in the end. The last one I read, again, was when I did my January TBR video. I did actually complete one other, and this was for the lesser known, had the least ratings, period, book that I had on my TBR. And that is The Stranger She Knew by Gail Wilson. Pretty standard romance. It was okay. It wasn't great. Definitely predictable, but I was hoping for a little bit more twisted, being one of the intrigue ones. And nope. Very predictable, very straightforward. So it was okay. Not, you know, it wasn't a waste of time, but I didn't really enjoy it. And that's where I ended the month, officially for books that I finished. I did also make a few page progress in Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare, and about 250 pages into It by Stephen King. I'm really enjoying both, especially It by Stephen King, but it is going to be a while till I finish that one. Possibly February, but honestly, I'm just taking my time with that. It's a long book, and it's, you know, almost 1,200 pages, and each page is small spaced, small print, and very packed, even chapter to chapter. It's just, there's no real break. So we shall see how that goes. It's actually larger than most hardbacks, the copy I have. So it's a big book, but we're enjoying that. Anyways, I do have sort of a February TBR video that you can check out to see what else I am reading or plan to read a little bit of and what's going on. I'm doing this interesting challenge. So I'll see you there. Bye.